evening, Metal Faithful. It is your mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich, and this is the Metal Hammer of Doom, our last review for the year 2021. And much to Jesse Starcher's chagrin and frustration with yours truly, we are not doing an end-of-the-year show. Instead, we're going to keep on trucking with a box set that came out November 26, 2021, if you bought the physical box set. However, digitally, each one of the albums in said box set was being released between, I believe it was November 26th and February of 2022. And that is Lordi's Lordiversity. Yes, sir. Lordiversity is a box set by the Finnish hard rock band Lordi. The box set contains their 11th to 17th studio albums, Skelectric Dinosaur, Superflytrap, which is what we're going to review tonight, the Masterbeast, From the Moon, Abusement Park, Humanimals, Abracadaver, and Spooky Sextravaganza Spectacular. And this is their follow-up to another album that we reviewed of theirs, Killection. And here he is to talk about his favorite band, Lordi, from his favorite country of Finland, the disapproving dad, Jesse Starcher. How do you do, Mr. Essential?
Doing a fantastic, Mark Radulich. Doing a fantastic. Boy, I'm glad to be here to talk about some Lordi. That's for sure. Yeah, this is going to be a fun night. Seven total albums. Let me just say, when Lordi posted that on social media that they were going to be releasing a total of 7 albums. They did this on April 6th, okay? Mm-hmm. And I was very concerned that they were confusing April Fool's Day somehow. Like they missed the boat a few days and we're like, oh, hey, we got to get this joke out there. And then we find out that it is actually true. They're going to do 7 albums and release them within a period of time. Now, initially, I don't think it was explained that they were going to do the physical all at once and the digital spaced out, but that's fine. Regardless, 7 freaking albums. And I was really, really surprised that they actually did it. So here we are tonight going to be talking about one of these albums in this collection, and I can't wait. I mean, this is going to be an interesting one. I can tell you that I have mixed emotions. I like Lordi. I love some of the stuff that they've done. I mean, Let's Go Slaughter He-Man, some of the great things that came off of some of the previous albums from before. Ooh, I don't know if you talked about the concept yet, but I'm sure we'll get to it. So I'll stop talking now so you can bring on somebody else.
We will talk about it momentarily, but before we do, I got to bring on the Metal Coop, Robert Cooper. How do you do, sir?
Pretty solid. Just trying to sweat off all the post-Christmas food, of course, because I think I gained about 10 fucking pounds, I swear.
I put on my scrubs to go to work on Monday after Christmas, after I'd been off for a couple of days to celebrate the Christmas holiday. And I was like, you ever just feel like you're shoving 100 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag? Because that's what it felt like getting dressed after Christmas.
Yeah, I've had a few where I put a shirt on and I'm just like, no.
But then I just go... But then you take a poop, right? And you take like the world's biggest poop, and you're like, oh, that's where all the Christmas went.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had that today. I actually got to not even go to work because I woke up at 4 a.m. like, did you say the Yule log? That's great. Right.
I like how we're like minutes into the show, we're already talking about feces.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's only so much you could say about this album.
Sorry, we both talked over you. You were trying to tell us about your bowel movements. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that. Like, I woke up at 4 a.m. being like, oh boy. Then at 7 a.m. I called work and I'm like, I ain't coming in. So that was a
post-Christmas hangover.
Yeah. Well, oh yes, definitely.
Well, we've had some fun, like Jesse said, with Lordi. We've reviewed, I think, like 3 of their albums. And we were, when they initially announced Lordiversity, we were going to just do like selections from each one of the albums, like we did with the Metallica Tribute to the Black album from earlier this year. And then Jesse kind of hit me to the jive. I think it was actually on Thanksgiving. They're like, yeah, they're going to release these like on Spotify on certain dates. And I'm like, oh, well, if that's the case, then we'll just do them one at a time as they come out. So we're doing this one this month. And I actually have the calendar right in front of me. I can tell you when we're doing the rest of these. Yeah, Afro Circus, right, Jesse?
Poke it out, Afro.
Okay, so we're gonna do Abracadaver on January 17th. Then we're going to do Humanimals on February 16th, and then Abusement Park on April 20th, and then Spooky Sextravaganza Spectacular on May 4th. Skelectric Dinosaur on June 8th, and then Masterbeast from the Moon on July 6th. So one a month pretty much going forward. What do you think about that, Jesse?
Wow. It's going to be weird because and I'm fine with the way we have it set up, but we're going to be jumping around in time periods.
Yeah.
When we do this, which is going to be really strange. Because these albums range from the fictional universe of Killection, I believe, from 75 to 95. So it's 2 decades that these 7 albums are going to be spanning. So what we get tonight is going to sound vastly different from the next album that we listen to. And
you promise?
Trust me. What's that?
You promise?
Actually, dude, I will state that you will probably enjoy the next album we cover a lot better than this one.
So this one specifically was released on November 26th, and then Abracadaver was December 10th. So we're just starting this journey now, which is why it's going to take us to like the middle of the year to get through all of these. Humanimals actually comes out January 7th. Abusement Park January 28th. Spooky Sextravaganza Spectacular February 11th, and like 4 days later is Skelectric Dinosaur, and then just only a couple of days after that is the last one. February 18th is Masterbeast from the Moon, and my feeling was like I don't want to just do nothing but Lordi between January and February. I'm like I gotta space these out, their kookiness. So that's why I did it one a month all the way into the middle of the summer. But getting back to this one in particular, Superflytrap. So the fictional years for the various albums are as follows. So that's yet again, there's a crazy story.
In this band?
Lordi is apparently time traveling. You see, and each one of these albums was produced in a different year, and then they time traveled forward and released another album. Don't you understand? So Superflytrap, I believe, is 1975, maybe either 75 or 79, one of the two.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be 79. So the way that they have it listed here on the wiki, the albums are going to be the albums they have listed underneath the track listing. I assume are corresponding to the years that you're going to go down. So this is supposedly the second album.
Okay, so it's 79.
Yeah, so it's 79.
Okay, so Skelectric Dinosaur is 75, and that's influenced by Kiss and Alice Cooper. And we'll go over these again as we go through them. Specifically, Superflytrap is 79, and it's inspired by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh boy, it is. Boney M, whoever he may be, and the Bee Gees.
Right.
What?
So Superflytrap is very disco-oriented, which I liked. I like disco. I like the Bee Gees. I like Saturday Night Fever. Word to Mamma Mia. It's my pizzeria, Jesse. Don't you understand?
I love it.
So here's the deal. It's very disco-oriented, and your mileage may vary how much you appreciate this album. It's certainly very off the beaten path from a lot of what's out there, and for me, that makes all the difference. You know what I mean, Coop?
Yeah, I mean, I won't say that I didn't hate the album by any means. I almost feel like I'm giving my my summation of my thoughts. But it's one of those that this is definitely a groovy album, and while I did not grow up any sort of time frame where disco might have been prevalent, in fact, I dropped knowledge on a customer the other day about the disco demolition night in the 70s, and he almost dropped his jaw because he was like, how the hell do you know about that? And then I got to teach my coworker in his near 50s about it because he didn't know about it. Funny story. But I really feel like this is a very ambitious sort of album, but I don't necessarily know how successful they are in stints.
So every one of these starts with SGG minus and then a number. This one in particular is SCG minus 6 Delightful Poppins. Which it's so funny because I was listening to the album as I was prepping. I was prepping the podcast tonight. I have to build my webpage. I got to pull all my art. I got to get my notes up. I have notes, Jesse.
Oh, whoa!
And I like you. Do you know what I use to write my notes?
Tell me.
I use Grammarly. Don't you understand?
Wow.
Yes. Grammarly, for you listeners of the Metal Hammer of Doom, is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes, of which I make a lot, while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M Network. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2M Network to download Grammarly for free. Moving on. So, as I'm prepping the podcast, my wife is like on the couch. My parents had just left. They dropped off some speakers for my new monitor.
If you had this intro track blasting,
I did. So she's on the couch. So let me set this up for the listeners. The whole gimmick, the whole intro is like, I think the first guy's delivering like a pizza, and then the next guy's the pool guy. He's like, like, hello. It's like, hi, I'm sexy pizza guy. She's like, oh, come in. And then they, hi, I'm sexy pool guy, but I don't have a pool. Oh, come in. And then Lordi comes in and kills everybody. And
Pow chicka wow wow.
Pow chicka wow wow. And I think actually Lordi says that. There's like, pow chicka wow wow. It's like, And my wife hears this, and I've already heard this from earlier today, and she's like, "What porn are you watching now?" I'm like, "It's not porn, it's Lordi."
Oh, that's funny.
All right, who's ready to hear some music? Yeah,
let's hear it. I'm ready.
I am. See, I thought he fucked them all to death, though.
I have a feeling that that's what happened.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes from a one to a one-on-one situation, two-on-one situation, three-on-one situation, then Lordi shows up and just destroys them all. So that's how it works.
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't have to be convinced that Lordi as a band could just fuck someone to death. just ecstasy, head explodes, Lordi tips the hat, walks out the door.
Which head, though?
All right. First 3 tracks. There are 9 tracks minus that intro that we're not going to play. So let's get into it now. First track is Macho Freak, and then Believe Me and Spooky Jive.
Like other day. Don't even think of you since you've gone. Sometimes the feeling comes, what if there's something wrong? I know it can't be true, 'cause you're gone. But here you're standing now, long time no see. I have to say that you look better in my memory. Please believe me, baby. Please believe me, baby. Like a devil on your shoulder, he will never give you good advice. But you know you wanna hold her, so you're gonna have to roll the dice. When everybody's got a boogie, they're gonna shake it till the morning light. An evil speak will get her deep in the night. Everybody's waiting, waiting for the king of the night. And all the sexy ladies are sighing when the master arrives. The devil boogies all the time with spooky child.
I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am. I'm your boogeyman. Robert Cooper. I'm in your bed. I'm your boogeyman.
I mean, you could jump on in if you want. I still have half of it kind of broken, but after a while, you just get used to it.
Did you break the bed in like a fun way, or did you break the bed in a fat guy way?
I mean, let's just say part 2 led to part 1. Wink.
Little from column A, little from column B is what you're trying to put down?
Yeah.
I'm
And
picking
a
you
little
up.
bit of column D.
Yeah, buddy. I said, you could have.
perfect.
I said you could have a little from column A or a little from column B, but how about I just give you all of column D, bitch? Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm like close to 50. Anyway.
Show.
So yeah, Spooky Jive. I was getting some I'm Your Boogeyman vibes. Very. As I'm listening to this, I'm like, I want to be wearing bell-bottom pants and roller skating right now, like around my house.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I always find myself wanting to do that, to be fair.
In bell-bottom pants.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel like I have legs made for bell-bottom pants.
Okay, but the bells are supposed to be at the bottom, not at your fat thighs.
Well, you know what? I'm going to be an innovator. I'm going to wear them backwards.
Go upside downy.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look like the fucking Challenger by the time I'm done.
You're gonna look like you're wearing fucking like, you know, one of them like tight pants boys, goths or the emo kids in their tight pants.
I'm going to look like a pirate that couldn't find a peg, so instead he stole traffic cones.
Anyway, I really like these first 3 songs. I mean, clear disco vibe. Coop, I want to go back to something you said, so I went to you first. You were like, so this guy, the singer of Lordi, doesn't really lend himself to this.
No.
Like, his vocal stylings do not lend himself to this kind of music. But I think that, I have to say, Mr. Lordi, as he's called, it's gravelly, it's sort of silly, it doesn't match, but it does make it very noticeable, very notable, and for me, kind of enjoyable, and like a, not in a Schadenfreude kind of a way, but more just like, it's so silly and over the top, I can't hate it. Kind of like the Matrix Resurrections.
You know, I still do want to see that, even though I just saw the first one for the first time the other day.
Really? You just now saw the first Matrix movie? What are you, my children?
Well, so here's the thing. I knew by reputation that the other two were absolute poo-poo. Like, my grandma went and saw...
The second one's good.
Let's talk about the scene on the freeway.
Yeah, the second one has I made this point last night in the 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. 2.5 hours.
That sounds like a punishment that you signed up for yourself.
I literally started off the podcast with, Robert, just start talking. Or we'll be here for 5 hours. Anyway,
it's a good thing you did, because you would have.
Sorted to 2.5.
Yeah, at about the 40-minute mark, he was still ranting about the movie and, like, banging his shoe, and saying that we will bury the United States without a single shot. And I was like, all right, stop already, Khrushchev. We got to move on. Anyway, that's our Matrix review if anyone wants to hear it in the archives. But just to finish that point and then getting back to the album, the second one is really, really good. It's not as good as the first one, but it's really, really good, and it has... the chase scene is one of the best in like cinema history. It's phenomenal. It is one of the best chase scenes in any movie ever of any era. It's the third one that goes into the toilet.
Okay, because I went and saw Bruce Almighty as a kid, and my grandma went and saw the Matrix Revolutions, and let's just say about halfway through, she's hanging out with me during Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, I would say between the Architect and the Merovingians, there were some people who were not able to keep up with the movie. So I get it. Which I mean, but yeah, I enjoy. You know what? I watched the first one. And I looked at Natalia. Hi, Natalia, my girlfriend, and and just went, you know what? I know these other movies have an absolutely abysmal reputation, but gosh darn it, I want to see where this goes. Well, I saw, for the review, I went to an IMAX showing of Resurrections, and I was like, well, I'm done now. I don't ever have to deal with this fucking series again. And then I said to my kids, I'm like, I didn't want to bring them to a rated R movie without having screened it first in case there's boobs in it, because God forbid they can see as Jesse and I have talked about many times, we don't care if our kids see someone's head getting cut off, but God forbid they see a tit, right, Jesse?
Right, that's right, buddy.
that is why America is so funny to some people.
Yes, we are not the French. So I screened it beforehand just to make sure that it was going to be okay for him. And there's nothing, other than some cursing in the movie. There's nothing in it that they haven't seen. My daughter doesn't care; she doesn't want to see it. But my son was like, "No, I want to see this. I want to see what this is." I told him a little bit about it. He was like, "Yeah." As soon as you said video game designer, I'm all in. I'm like, "Great, I'll put it. When we're done watching Looney Tunes, I'll put it on for you in your room." He's like, "No, Jesse Starcher." He didn't call me Jesse Starcher, but no, Jesse Starcher.
Oh, that's good.
He said, no. He said, I want to watch it with you. We must watch this together as father and son holding hands. And I was like, God fucking damn it.
You're like, father-son quality time.
Well, at least I'll have my phone I can look at. But, yeah, I got to sit and watch that with him, Jesse. Can you believe it?
Oh, well, hey, you know what? You get to spend some time with him. He'll look back on that fondly.
Yep.
So feel good about yourself there.
Yeah,
and you can just think of the Robert Winfrey running commentary the entire time.
Right,
banging his
shoe. It'll be like an alternate commentary, of his making.
Start the podcast in one ear, watch the movie, and then you'll still have the podcast to listen to when the movie's over.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot to go over with. That's nice.
The podcast is, I think, longer than the movie. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Anything else about these first three songs, Mr. Cooper?
Oh, yes. But as I was saying, but I like track number 2 or 3, past, of course, the... Mr. Lordi fucking someone into oblivion. His voice kind of grew on me in terms of kind of just fitting in there. I think one of the things that annoys me as this album goes on is the female vocals with him.
Really?
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, especially on some of the balladier songs, I kind of feel like they stick out in a way that it's almost like a guy at karaoke night who is kind of doing a half-assed job but enjoying himself, and then this chick shows up with him, and she's almost a little too good for what he's bringing. And and I just don't necessarily. They just don't quite gel as well as I'd like it.
Yeah.
But like these first few songs, like you know, when I was listening, I was fucking dancing. I was like, you know what, I can fucking dig this. Like I really feel like if they would have kept this sort of thing going the whole time, because I really feel like the back half was a lot more slow ballads. I think it would have went a lot better.
That's fair. Jesse, you've been patiently waiting for Robert and I to finish our podcast about The Matrix. Do you want to talk about these albums, these songs?
These first three. So, yeah, I like what Coop's saying there in regards to the female vocals popping in every once in a while, and we'll hear some of those. Well, I think we already heard a couple of them already. But I'm not taking this, and I know you guys aren't either, but I'm not taking this album seriously. I don't think anybody is. I mean, this is, you know, Lordi has decided that they are going to fill out their previous discography prior to when they became a band. And they're going to put this out there, Superflytrap. It's a total disco fever feel all over most of what we hear on this album. Macho Freak, and then we get into Believe Me. I mean, okay, so every single one of these songs, well, let's try it this way. These first three songs definitely have that Lordi flavor sprinkled in. It definitely has a disco feel, but there is some rather horrific stuff happening when you look at the lyrics.
Tell us about some of those horrific things, Jesse, in graphic, vascular detail.
Oh, vascular. Yeah. So, I mean, Macho Freak, really all that is about how the band's going to show up and kill a bunch of people that show up at their concert. Sure. That's what I gather from there. Yeah. That's typical Lordi stuff. Believe Me is hilarious because it's this guy talking about how he killed his girlfriend and holy crap, she's back. And even in the middle of the song, she says, you can't do nothing right, grabs the gun that apparently killed her, and then shoots him between the eyes. Great right. Lordi stuff right there. And then Spooky Jive, I believe, is about the devil getting all the ladies at the dance by his dance moves. So
that tracks. That very much tracks.
Absolutely does. So Lordi is bringing this concept to life by saying, hey, yeah, we did an album back in 79. It was a disco album, remember? And here it is. Oh, I'm glad you guys get to hear it.
I mean, I love the concept of Lordiversity, where like we're gonna just like the Lordiversity, you know, university. It is a school of music that they are unleashing upon the world as a box set. I love that concept. I love the idea.
Yeah. It's really neat to see how this is going to unfold as we go throughout these eras of these previous albums, and just to kind of see what craziness they're going to bring to it. And it's hard to even just conceive that I understand artists have a great deal of talent that sometimes they really, really put into one album. These guys did this in 7 albums within a year. Mm-hmm. And they're not all, you know, as Coop will tell you right now, this album is not something to write home about, but you know, it's still art. It's still, you know, it's still content that they were able to put out into an album, and nothing seems off the page from what I've normally got from Lordi before, and sticking with the concept. So, you know, right now I'm forgiving it. We haven't got into anything. These first 3 haven't got into anything that I'm saying, whoa, flag on the play.
All right, let's move on to the next 3 songs. Yeah, here we go. We've got City of the Brokenhearted, Bella from Hell, and Cast Out from Heaven.
You're not taking it the wrong way. The cloudy skies are all you get. There will be another new
know, Cooper. I really like that woman's voice, especially on that last one.
I think I will say, like, it does work on the more up. I feel like it works really well on the upbeat songs.
Yeah.
Like ones like that one where I feel like the beat's driving and her voice almost kind of carries it along.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, once you get to the slower songs where I think Mr. Lordi doesn't shine quite as well,
Mm-hmm.
That's where I kind of find her voice to be a little more of a kind of a negative sort of mirror to his.
Okay. I so far, like, I'm still enjoying this. These aren't City of the Brokenhearted. I still has that very upbeat disco-y feel. Bella from Hell again also has a lot of familiar tones of that style and that disco 70s era. Cast Out from Heaven, I think I was more focusing on the woman's voice, the backing vocals, and she's got a really pretty tone to her voice. I did think, kind of on the same wavelength as you, that it doesn't necessarily complement Mr. Lordi's voice all that much. It feels like, and I know that this is actually the way a lot of songs are recorded, where somebody lays down their track and somebody else lays down their track, and they're not in there really harmonizing. A producer is knitting it all together, and it very much feels that way. Like, you listen to some albums and it has that feel like they were all in there jamming together and banging out this tune, and everyone complements each other, and it's a nice cohesive thing. This doesn't necessarily feel Cast Out from Heaven doesn't feel, at least in the vocal stuff, particularly cohesive. It feels like everyone kind of just threw their protein into a paella. You know what I mean, Jesse?
Yeah, sure.
I've never heard that before. Oh man, that is quite the game of Soggy Biscuit.
The protein in it. Proteins like clams and shrimp and chicken and sausage and
I thought everybody was whacking off into
that is not where Coop took it.
My goodness, gentlemen, it's not always about. All right, it is, but I mean, it's not. It wasn't that time about sex. My goodness, this is a family podcast.
This is
the one non-family podcast because
yeah,
this is the one we get cut up on.
I don't have a green screen I have to put up. I don't have to make sure I'm showered and my teeth are brushed. I could be naked as I have been, right, Jesse?
Oh man!
Hey, remember that time I ran to a podcast and was out of breath?
Yes, I still trying to forget it.
I'll never stop
Some
reminding
questions
you.
should not be asked. Why did I ask that question?
Why are you breathing so heavy?
Are you okay? Yes, Jesse, quite okay.
Quite. Not as okay as I was a few minutes ago, but I'm doing fine.
Some things are better than others. All right. Anyway, back to enough about my sex life.
Well, so.
Oh no! Yeah. That's what you meant. Damn it!
A little late on that one.
Someone send Coop some Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
No,
So
I thought you went running out on a marathon. I didn't realize you went running for a 20-second marathon.
No, I told Jesse we're going to be 15 to a half minutes to a half an hour late. I'm going to go bang my wife. Only I left that part out.
Oh, well, that's good. At least you can time it at this point.
got it down. Got it down.
Anyway, Jesse, you were trying to talk about the music, which I'm sure is what people would like people to hear.
Okay, so the duality between our female vocalist and Mr. Lordi here.
Yeah.
That's obviously on purpose. I don't think that they were looking to try and produce this to where it would sound like better. I think they were like, no, this is exactly what we need. And again, you got to think, if they were shooting for that 1979 vibe, then okay, that's probably what you would get. Right. When you think about it, when it comes to production quality, which I don't know if they went into that much detail when they went into this concept. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. But just to kind of get back to the beginning of our first of these trio here, City of the Brokenhearted, you talked about it being upbeat, which is hilarious because it's basically a song about how shitty life is and how shitty life will always be. So it's funny to hear it, when you look at the lyrics and listen to the tone of the song, completely, two totally different things. Totally different things. Bella from Hell is probably my least favorite off of this album. I really did not like it. And I think it's just personally, it doesn't feel like it's not as entertaining as some of the other stuff. It's just all about how, he fell in love with this girl who's not good for him. I'm pretty much okay, whatever. And then as we get into Cast Out from Heaven, now that's an interesting story that's being told there. This is about a guy who tries to do everything right. And it's a short song. When you look at it lyrically, there's only a few beats that really happen in the song or in the lyrics. The guy tries to help out the poor. He goes and saves some people. He saves the guy from death. And then it turns out like the guy he saved goes and kills his whole family. And so it turns out when he thinks he's going to heaven, they're like, no, you can't get in here because everything that you did resulted in something bad, and so he got cast out from heaven. So,
like you do.
I guess that's a problem.
At least Ronald Reagan can star in that one himself.
Okay, true. But yeah, I mean, as far as we're still sticking with the late '70s vibe here, the disco vibe. I think Coop is definitely on the money when you start to hit these ballady songs as the album continues, and it does get a little like, are they shooting straight here? Is that what they're trying to do? Are they actually trying to put out a disco song? But when you dive into it lyrically, you still see their Lordi. So that's what I think the genius is when you talk about Lordi. They can do this and they make it sound like, holy crap, that's a disco song. But then you got the dark stuff.
Have you ever heard the story about, I don't know how much of it is myth and how much of it is truth, but the alleged story about why Tipper Gore tried to get albums rated and stickered and all of that is that she was playing Darling Nikki, because Prince was a mainstream artist, played on the radio. I don't know if he'd won a Grammy by this point, but he was everywhere. He was a cultural icon at this point in life. I think years ago, I think when he died, we did a Prince tribute, which someday I should re-air, and I might have talked about it then. But the whole reason we have today, we used to. Everything's digital now, so who gives a shit? But we for a long time there.
That's right. Fuck you, Walmart.
We had parental advisory, explicit lyrics stickers on albums, and a lot of those stickered albums were kept out of big box mainstream stores, especially across the South and the Midwest, like Walmart, was because Tipper Gore was playing the radio in her house, like you do. And her daughters are having a dance party, like you would. And Darling Nikki comes on, and she's like, 5 minutes into the song, she's like, hey, wait a minute. This song's about masturbation.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And she's like, and why is this song about masturbation on a public radio station that my young daughters can listen to? I must go before Congress and make changes. And that's how we had the hearing on albums that Dee Snider and Frank Zappa were a part of. There was a whole movie about this, for what that's worth, on VH1, I think it was, a couple of years ago. In any case, I bring that up only because, like, Prince's Darling Nikki is, like, again, one of those where you could absolutely hear it, and like you're a kid or you're a stay-at-home mom and you're listening to it, and unless you actually listen to the lyrics, you're like, hey, wait, what now? You're doing what to your what? It just seems like a fun song until you, like, if you're just passively listening to it, you don't catch what it's about. It's just a fun song to listen to. It's really upbeat. Prince was a master craftsman of music. And then you sit and you listen to it, you're like, oh! And you're clutching your pearls, and
clutch your pearls.
Off to Congress you go.
I mean, that's what the song's about anyways, right?
Oh.
Clutching your pearl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm on fire today.
You really are. You should get that checked out by a doctor. Hey now.
Well, I mean, what can I say? Too much clutching the pearls.
Oh,
Speaking of which,
rubs you the wrong way.
look, Jesse's got jokes.
Oh man, that was a good one.
If we are done, and I'm trying to be better about remembering who talked and who didn't, but I think we all got something to say about these last three. Jesse, when we come back, we're gonna tell people where they can find this album right now, but also I want to hear what that angry metal guy thinks. Yeah.
All right, then. Yeah.
All right. So here we go with the scenario, as I like to say. We've got last three songs on the album here. We've got Darling Nikki. No, just kidding. We've got Gonna Do It or Do It and Cry, Zombimbo, and Cinder Ghost Choir. Coop's crotch is on fire. That's what he told us. That's what you said, Coop. I'm singing your story. I'm like a bard.
And I greatly appreciate it. I truly feel that the generations long past today really need to know about safe sex.
Well, speaking of safe sex, if you would like to... This whole review really was brought to you by Amazon Music Unlimited, Jesse. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I had no idea. Tell me more about it.
I will. Whether you like it or not. We are giving away a free 30-day trial of the Amazon Music Unlimited service. It's great. You click the link in our description here at getamazonmusic.com/W2M network, and you will be able to stream over 70 million songs on Amazon Music, including, but not limited to, Lordi's Lordiversity as it becomes available on digital platforms like Amazon Music Unlimited. Isn't that wonderful, Jesse? Don't we look like ourselves?
Oh, my goodness. How can you pass up the opportunity to listen to Lordi for free for 30 days?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right.
I agree.
So, I'm just kind of give my final thoughts, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. And I want to hear about the Angry Metal Guy. I really like this album. I was having a fun time with it. It didn't offend me in any way. It's definitely, like, I've actually heard a lot of Bee Gees and ABBA, music from that era, and there were definitely like lifts from particular songs and restylized and then lordied up. So I think. I think one of the notes that I had read about this was their Killection tour got canceled or postponed because of COVID, like everything in 2020 and parts of 2021. And they used that time to do this. And I think, an exploration of different musical styles. It's one of the things that you and I have talked about in the past, Jesse, where a lot of these bands are like, well, we're Cannibal Corpse, so I guess we'll just keep doing death metal. And it's like, okay. Yeah. And then a lot of times, like, I don't want to talk about them on here because there's nothing to talk about. Some of the most boring shows we've ever done, or the shows where we just don't talk about the music, is because everything sounds like everything else they've ever done. There's no change. And a lot of people really like that. They want, another iteration of the same thing that they liked from 10 other albums before that. And those people are fine, and that's all fine and good, and that keeps the gears going. But it makes it hard for me to, one, invest in, two, talk about in a format like this. So when something like Lordiversity comes along, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of grist for the mill here. And, I can understand if it doesn't tickle their sack the way that it does mine, but at least it's a conversational piece. You know what I mean, Jesse?
Yeah. Yeah, when you look at this, I'm trying to think of who you would suggest this album to. And it's like, well, do you go to somebody that really enjoys disco and say, hey, this is something that you need to check out? And in my opinion, no. I don't think you go to somebody and say, you got to check out Lordi's disco rendition, check out Superflytrap. What you do, though, is you find the guy who really likes Lordi, and you say, look at this concept that they came up with, and listen to this. And so this is definitely an album for fans of Lordi, somebody who enjoys what they do, enjoys the concepts that they come up with. So, that's where this album belongs. And
for sure.
We had a chance to listen to the last three, one of which actually showed up on the previous album, Killection. This Zombimbo was on that album. And if you remember correctly, as you're listening to Killection, it's a story being told, this guy who's playing all these hits from this band. And that's where the idea of this, I don't know if Killection came first and then this spewed from it, or if the idea for this was there first and Killection happened initially, and then COVID hit. And then we get all these albums.
According to the production notes, after COVID-19 pandemic had postponed their tour in support of Killection, the band decided to use the extra time to start working on more material to release a week after the postponement. Lordi stated it was clear that it was time to start planning the new album, even though Killection was released not even 2 months before. I was thinking that the most boring thing we could do after Killection is do another basic Lordi album, and I was very much enjoying the different style of songwriting, recording, and production on Killection. But another boring idea would have been to do a part 2. So there you go.
Right. So, and before I forget, because I'm sure as we go through the rest of these albums, there will be a lot more said about the stuff we hear. But I did have the chance to listen to them give the interview. It was Mr. Lordi was giving an interview about the idea behind these 7 albums. And one of the things that he said he regretted was the fact that he didn't have the idea of doing a country album at the time, which would have just been fantastic to have that be one of the things that we cover on the Metal Hammer of Doom, but it's not going to happen. Coop, I want to turn it over to you after I go through these reviews here real quick.
Okay.
So the blabbermouth.net, it looked at all of the albums here, and they gave Lordiversity as a whole an 8 out of 10. So that's not specifically looking at Superflytrap. Now, there are other websites that did go into just Superflytrap, and they weren't exactly very kind. Metalrules.com gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I know you're aching to hear what the Angry Metal guy has to say, and unfortunately, he may be waiting to drop his thoughts on this, on all of these albums all at once, because the last thing that he has listed there is Killection. Nothing has been talked about in regards to Superflytrap yet. So, a couple other places that I jumped into. Let's see, that one doesn't have any ratings. It's like a lot of people. Okay, here we go. MetalDigest.com gave it a 60%. And it's kind of tough to be like looking at metal sites reviewing a disco album. These are metal sites that obviously they're not going to score it very high. And then, go ahead. What was he going to say?
No, it was just like, oh yeah,
big surprise, big surprise.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like there was a lot of patience for this, or like, okay, we know we're getting something different here. Let's judge it for what it is and not what we want it to be. No, these people are like, this isn't the Lordi that I wanted. Fuck this album.
Right. So I've never heard of this website, but Flyctory, FLYCTORY.com gave it a 4.2 out of 5. I'll read a couple quotes here and then I'll turn it over to Coop. One says, Lordi are really doing pop music, and it does not sound that bad. And then there's very nicely selected songs in that concept. So, when you look at it, it is what it is. It is a Lordi disco album. It took place in 1979. I think they at least nailed the idea that this was something that came out at that point. So I'll give them kudos. As for me enjoying the album, it took me a couple times to get through it. There's a few songs on there that I think are okay, but I want to hear something else. I cannot wait until we get into the next album, because I had a chance to listen to that and it blows this one away. So disco's not my thing. It's not my thing, baby.
You left the situation with your sack not tickled.
My sack is not tickled. It begs to be still tickled.
Jesse Starcher of the Metal Hammer of Doom says, Lordi, you have left my sack sans tickled.
That's right.
I don't know if I want Lordi tickling my sack, because I think they have a medieval torture device for that.
They have to do it in full regalia. I'm just saying. Like, the guy can't come over in, like, basketball shorts and a Howard the Duck t-shirt. He has to be in, like, full Lordi regalia. And he's like, it's like, all right, drop your balls in my hand. Coochie, coochie, coo.
No, he has to come in basketball shorts and wearing the carcass of Howard the Duck.
Either way.
Something he would do.
All right, Robert Cooper, take me home, baby doll.
Ooh, well, the way you talk. Anywho. It's... Because I know we're all professional wrestling fans around here. This reminds me of a Toru Yano match. I love Yano. He's a comedic wrestler. Plenty of fun to watch. If you enjoy his shit, you're going to like it. If you're not, it's not a wrestling classic, and you'll just kind of forget you watched this, and it was all right. This very much reminds me of a goofy gimmick match that I enjoyed. While listening, wasn't perfect, wasn't exactly memorable, but I didn't hate my time listening to it. I'd probably give it like a solid, maybe like 2.5 out of 5, maybe a 2. Just because, like, when I look at it as sort of a gimmick album, I think it works better than as something very serious. Mm-hmm. But I mean, with that being said, there are definitely some songs that, like, if I heard them again, I'd fucking dance. I ain't lying. I would fucking dance to some of these songs, and I think it would be a good time. But I mean, honestly, if Jesse gives the next one a stamp of approval, I'm really looking towards that, kind of maybe redeeming this one a little.
All right. Well, folks, that wraps up our last review of 2021 on the Metal Hammer of Doom. And, you know, because of Jesse's essentiality, Robert Cooper coming back in, like, the third quarter of this year, and by that point I had already written the schedule and was like, yeah, I'm just not going to do the Metal Hammer of Doom. So... 2020...
He looked into the looking glass and said, he's coming back. All right, we got to make him wait a little, see if he's actually staying.
So I'm making a point to try to do more of these because the band's back together and there's no reason not to. And so Metal Hammer of Doom Wednesdays, except for when it's Mondays, should be a relatively weekly thing for 2022, unless Jesse has to go back to being essential and Robert has to go back to the woods to live deliberately. So with that said, we will be kicking off the year with an album that came out a year ago because we're timely like that. Like I said this on the Matrix review last night. I'm ripping off another podcast. Some guy, the MCU's Bleeding Edge, did a reaction to a Bandmade video. Bandmade is a Japanese metal band that dress up like maids. Apparently, this is a cultural thing in Japan. We'll talk more about it next week. But
it is.
Allegedly they play some pretty cool music. They put out this album, Unseen World, in January of this past year, and they did a reaction to it, and their numbers like improved 1,000-fold on that particular reaction. Then they did it again. And same thing, you know, they found lightning in a bottle, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm a hack. I'll just steal from you and your ideas. So we were going to do something else. We're not going to do that anymore. Instead, we're going to do Bandmade Unseen World and see if I can capture some of the magic that they have. And we'll see what happens. We did once before, Jesse, with Baby Metal, right?
That's right. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this is all about. I mean, if anything, I mean, hey, if the listeners come with it, that's great. But, you know, expanding our horizons and listening to something new, can't beat it.
And look, I am absolutely stealing an idea from another podcast, but it's not like we don't do weird shit on this show. We've done at least 2 different Simpson reference bands. We did Oakley Dokley, and we did Dr. Colossus earlier this year. We've done Bongzilla. We've done
Heavy-saurus.
We did Heavy-saurus. We've done a couple of really like weirdo bands, if I remember correctly. Can you think of any other one? I remember like Oakley Dokley. Oakley Dokley was definitely one of the more gimmicky ones we've done. And then like I said, earlier this year, Robert and I did Dr. Colossus, and you and I did Bongzilla. We've definitely done stuff that's off the beaten path.
I mean, I once lost my shit at Sepultura covering Ultraman, so it definitely fits into our wheelhouse. We do not have shame.
Yeah, whenever like metal injections, like here's the stupidest band you've never heard of, I'm like, we're there for it. That's going on the schedule.
We never did review Lady Baby though.
No, we didn't. Nor have we reviewed Ronnie Adams' favorite band, John Cougar Concentration Camp.
Or what was it? Santa Holocaust or something is what it was.
Yeah, something like that.
There was one that my buddy Nick, who I one day will get on this podcast, was telling me about.
And that's a bingo.
No, it was Nuclear Santa Claus. That's who it was.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they opened for one of his bands one time.
We have not done Max Sabbath.
Oh, and that's actually a good one.
Yeah.
There's like a metal mariachi band that does covers too that I've talked about them, but we've never done them.
Yeah, we haven't. Oh yeah. What is that band? Ah, damn it! I'll remember it in a sec.
Anyway, but like I said, we've done Poppy. We did that. What's the name of the I Am the Captain? My name is Dave. Jesse.
Scooter.
It's Scooter.
Oh yeah, the band I was thinking of was oh my god, I lost it again. It was Diablo Swing Orchestra is who I was thinking of.
Yeah. So anyway, that shit's definitely in our wheelhouse. Obviously, I became obsessed with Baby Metal there for a little bit, stuff like that. The following week, a little bit of the normal, but also very popular for us. Like whenever we do Volbeat, it usually gets good numbers. So we're going to review Servant of the Mind. Jesse, you ought to be very excited about that, yeah?
I am. I can't wait to talk about it.
And then when I come back from my daughter's birthday trip on Monday the 17th, and the reason why we're switching it from Wednesdays to Mondays is because the Superblog team up this year is January 20th. So the night before, myself and Jesse Starcher and Evan Bevins will be comparing the movie Logan's Run to the Marvel Comics adaptation of said same that was drawn by George Perez, the late now George Perez. So instead, Monday...
He didn't die, did he?
I don't think he's dead.
Don't scare me like that, Mark Radulich.
He already lost John Madden.
I thought the whole reason we did this was George Perez passed away.
George Perez announced that he's got 6 months to live.
Oh.
He's still alive, so
Okay.
we're doing a tribute to him.
I don't
Man,
read
you scared
anything
me
that
half
anyone
to death.
says. Like, there was a conversation about it that spawned this whole idea, and I'm like, oh, I guess the guy's dead. I'm not listening to any of you nerds talk about this.
You know, we've done. Me and you have talked some comics that he's done specifically. Maestro, help me out here. We just talked. Me and Chris just talked about this. Maestro Hulk. What is it called? Future Imperfect.
Yeah. You and I did Future Imperfect.
That's right. You and I did that one.
Yeah.
Chris and I were talking about it on our Unspoken Issue show. But yeah, so you and I have talked about some stuff that he's done. He's a fantastic artist, and yeah, unfortunately, he announced that he has, I think it's pancreatic cancer, and he's got 6 months to live. So a lot of people were really hit hard, including our buddies at the Superblog team up. So we're going to do a tribute show along with a lot of other blog writers in regards to that. So yeah, I look forward to talking to you about that.
I apologize to the fans and the family of George Perez. I thought he had passed away was the issue, but no, just announced that he
got your back for that, buddy.
Yep, sorry. I apologize. Anyway, so we're going to do on the Monday, the 17th of January, Abracadaver, which is the next Lordi album in this series. And then we're back to our regular Wednesday time on the 26th of January. Speaking of albums that came out like a long time ago that Jesse insisted we get on the schedule per contract, the Night Flight Orchestra, Aromatic 2.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I listened to that album again today. Good album.
All right. And then we end. Fuck me running. We end. We kick off February with Battle Beast, Circus of Doom. You know what? Also, we're going to be re-airing that day. Our Damn You Hollywood on The Doit.
The Doit. I remember The Doit.
The Doit. And the reason why we are re-airing The Doit, Jesse, is because you and I are going to watch the Pam and Tommy Hulu show.
Oh yeah.
So I'm re-airing some of our Motley Crue stuff that we did because the next day is our soundtrack, our soundtrack review that we did for the Dirt soundtrack.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. So that's January. That's all the Metal Hammer of Doom. We've mentioned it a couple of times. We have a 2.5 hour review of The Matrix. The whole thing, like we didn't spend the entire 2.5 hours just talking about The Matrix Resurrections. We just spent an enormous amount of time tearing that thing to pieces. We did an extended money segment talking about the year-long HBO Max day and date experiment and debating whether or not it was successful or not. Certainly,
It was not.
Pundits thought it was. Apparently it drove subscriptions, but on the other hand, they didn't have they had one movie that exceeded its budget and was profitable. It was The Conjuring. I would not necessarily say Warner Brothers had a banner year. Speaking of not having a banner year, myself and Ronnie Adams reviewed The Kingsman. That's only an hour. That is entirely reasonable. We were in, we were out, we paid the hooker, we left. It was fine.
I did not enjoy that movie.
No, nobody did. Speaking
Oh,
of
that's
which,
sad. Was that? Yeah, okay, you're about ready to plug it. It doesn't live up. Does it live up at all to the comic that we covered?
no, not at all.
Oh.
Now the first two movies do. The first two movies were right in line with the comic book, but this new Kingsman prequel was really a somber affair. Anyway,
sad.
we had a re-airing of our Hateful Eight review from a few years ago. David Wright jumped on a triple feature with me to review Ghost in the Shell, Aeon Flux, and Ex Machina. That was fun. We had a really good conversation. Tomorrow, Alexis Haina, who will hopefully someday be able to get her Facebook and Messenger back, we will be reviewing Animaniacs Season 2, and Looney Tunes Season 3, and then David Wright will be back talk Foundation Season 1, which I just finished watching today. Jesse, Starcher, and a bunch of you nerds are going to be doing a Spider-Man roundtable that'll air next week. This New Year's Day, Jesse, Starcher, and I, for a Christmas show one year, decided that we were going to do a career retrospective of Weird Al Yankovic. That re-airs January 1st. That'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, and then Jesse Starcher, you have a podcast called Source Material that you actually do for us. It isn't some other website that you spend more time doing content for. That you love more than us.
Oh, a little jealousy never hurt nobody.
Yeah, I'm a little greed with envy, feeling a little abandoned. Anyway, you're kicking off the year, January 2nd, with the very first Source Material. That it's myself, you, and Evan Bevins talking Billionaire Island by Ronnie Adams' favorite author, Mark Russell.
Oh, it's fantastic bit of storytelling by Mark Russell, and boy, we had some fun conversations there. I love having Evan Bevins on a podcast. He always brings something to the table.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing Logan's Run with you guys. All right, so
yeah, it'll be good.
That's my plugs. Jesse's going to tell you about this unspoken nonsense that he does.
Right here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Yes, Unspoken Issues. It's a 90s comics podcast. It's myself and Chris Armstrong. Also hang out with the progenitor, I guess you would say, of the UnspokenDecade.com, the 90s comics website. Dean Compton and Derry Waite comes on there every once in a while. So anyway, Derry Waite, he's the second guy that talked to us about Transformers. If you listen to that,
the other guy that was on meth on that show. Got it.
There you go. Okay, way to go, Mark Radulich. Let's not alienate the people that I do podcasts with. So hey,
damn it! I just took a drink.
We have upcoming. Well, today it dropped. Chris Armstrong and myself talked an Alan Moore book. Mark Radulich.
Oh, really?
Alan Moore.
Was it called Fuck Firestorm?
No. Well, actually, it could have been because he was a little upset with the big two at this point in time in the 90s. Spawn and Wildcats came together and did there was a story called Devil Day. Just imagine, Spawn in 2015 becomes the hellish demon that everyone expected him to be. But he overthrew the Malbolgia, he was the leader of the 7th Ring of Hell, something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, Malbolgia. I love me some Spawn comics. I'm not going to lie.
All right. I like it. Well, yeah, so this has got time travel in it. Two Wildcats come back from the future to the past to try and kill Spawn before he turns into this bad thing. And that fails, so they go into the future into 2015 and face off with Spawn. So Spawn versus Spawn action in this thing. Listen, I will tell you, it was a lot of fun. It's part of our Unspoken Epics where Chris Armstrong and I talk a story arc. Usually it's a single-issue format on Unspoken Issues, but this is actually a 4-issue story arc that we got to sit down and discuss. And then upcoming sometime next week, you should be able to hear myself, Dean Compton, and Derry Waite talking about the first arc that featured Carnage in Amazing Spider-Man. And that was a lot of fun to sit down and talk about, learned a lot of stuff. So, hey, if you like 90s comics, Unspoken Issues has got you covered. So keep an eye out for that. And I think that is all I have for myself. Robert Cooper.
You know, if you really want to get into that 90s feel, I think you should just re-release the same podcast multiple times with different cover art.
Brilliant idea.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I also wonder if the Logan's Run adaptations have like a 35-year age limit on them, or...
Ooh. So we're getting ready to get into... When we do this Logan's Run stuff, it's going to be interesting because I've never seen the movie. And those books, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like late 70s, aren't they?
Yep, and impossible to find unless you buy them on eBay or you sail the high seas.
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, I was actually just making a joke at the fact that, you die after you turn like 35.
You would think that like they would be they were Marvel comics, like they were Marvel proper, and you would think they would be on Marvel Unlimited, but Marvel's like, no, we don't have the server space for this nonsense.
It all comes down to licensing, I'm sure, because you gotta they can't reprint that stuff without paying some type of licensing fee, especially if it's you'll hear that story being told with Godzilla showing up in Marvel Comics. Nope, can't do that. They can't reprint that because they don't have the licensing to Godzilla. And I imagine the same thing is going on with Logan's Run. That's why it's so hard to find.
But do they have the licensing to Charles Barkley?
I doubt it. Evan Bevins would be the man to talk about that. That's for sure.
Robert Cooper, you got any podcasts going on besides the Metal Hammer of Doom, sir?
No, I'm just a one podcast man. I'm spending the rest of my time with my wonderful and adorable girlfriend, and we watch a lot of anime. It's nice. Otherwise, no, I'm just happy to be doing this again. It's been a fun time. Makes me really feel like I've missed a lot.
Well, unless you abandon us again, I will make it a point to make sure we don't skip a week on the Metal Hammer of Doom. Okay.
Okie dokie.
Okay. So, because I still feel bad about hey guys, I'm back permanently now. Great. We're not going to do another show for 6 weeks. Bye.
It's fine. I mean, last week I got to go to the AEW show live.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, dude, that was lit. That show was amazing. And I also got to learn floor seats suck ass if you're past row 5.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's better to be just off the floor.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'm like a good 6'2", so I didn't have as much a problem, but good old Nick, he's a good 5'7", maybe 5'6". Yeah, he did not have the same time I did.
Gotcha. All right, folks, thanks for joining us here. I hope you enjoyed the Metal Hammer of Doom in the year 2021. We have a lot of fun stuff for you planned in the year 2022. So keep on rocking in the free world. For Jesse Starcher, Robert Cooper, I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.